Okay, here we are again.
Are we on?
Yes,
We're on. Do we actually have any viewers?
like 10-ish.
Oh,
9.
yeah. Yeah, it is. Like 7 of them are probably my mom, but it doesn't really matter.
Your mom takes 7 spots.
Yeah,
on
my
Twitch.
mom's so fat. She counts as 7 viewers on Twitch. 6 self-burns. Yeah. I guess no point beating around the bush. We said we would have some sort of announcement. Or we actually kinda have to, I guess.
Yeah, and as it is now the second anniversary of SGW release, originally coming to Steam on 2015,
Yeah.
and people been liking our game, and we're really humble about that. And we still see people buying it, even though it's been 2 years, and we've been seeing a lot of streamers and let's players really liking the game and making great content out of it. And we have some announcements, especially that will be interesting for these people.
Yeah. So basically, the one thing we were supposed to announce is that we are working on one more update that also comes with a DLC, and that should be out soon. TM. Well, actually, I think we were talking like before summer next year, but because of if you've been following our dev vlogs, we are doing like outsourcing stuff like that at the moment. We have a lot of stuff going on, and depending on how those go, we might have to push it back or it might be earlier, but roughly around that time we're gonna do update based around like achievements and challenges and like single playery stuff for the most part. Also multiplayery stuff too, but like kind of because we've noticed that our people do like the co-op, but really the core hardcore audience is for like challenging content. And one big thing about SGW is that the challenging part of it can become a bit frustrating with many players for many reasons. So we're kind of like, so the idea is to do basically an update that expands on Gauntlet a bit. Like we're not gonna touch campaign probably, or well, probably we're not gonna touch campaign for several reasons, but we're gonna expand on Gauntlet, and then we are gonna do some quality of life changes. We're not gonna like nerf anything. We are probably not gonna change too many things. We are maybe looking at like, hey, let's make Blue Falcon a little bit better, let's make Silver Wolf a little bit better, but mostly we're just gonna do content that's supposed to be challenging. We're thinking of doing like mini campaigns for specific mechs or something like that, but this is all like still a little bit up in the air, but we're definitely doing something still. And then I guess on top of that, the other thing is that we've expressed it a couple of times now, we would really like to make SGW 2. I think it's even been mentioned in context of adding stuff to SGW 1, and it still applies. Like one of the reasons why the DLC is going to be sort of limited in scope is because it's a little bit frustrating to go back there, because it was made, well, over 2 years ago, and we're a bigger team, we have so much more experience, stuff like that. So we're going to make a lot better game if we sort of start from scratch. So we definitely want to make a second installment. We are doing at the moment like concepting, we're figuring out some stuff, we are looking for funding, stuff like that. So that's not going to be probably anytime in the immediate future, but it's sort of our like long-term plan. Like that's the next big game probably we want to make is SCW2. And
Yeah, so basically like Ville said, we started concepting, and you will soon probably start to see it on our social media, and you start to actually see that we are planning to move forward with this, and that is something that we really want to get out to the players who have been playing the first SGW.
That's one big thing, is we want to involve like people who are really into it and like get some input, stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons why we've been so quiet. Part of the reason why we've been so quiet in social media stuff, why that has been, because we kind of like assumed that this is like sort of secret, and then we started thinking about it. It's like, it's not. Why is it a secret? Like maybe it's a better idea to sort of put it out there. Yeah, we would like to make a sequel, because we were looking at it for a while, but we haven't been able to like show anything, for example, stuff like there isn't really anything major, but there are a lot of ideas, there are a lot of concept stuff like that. So yeah.
So yeah, that's basically our big news today.
Yeah. So there's gonna be more SGW stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. SGW 1 is gonna get an update, a DLC coming next spring before summer, to be announced.
Yeah, to be announced. Yeah.
And
hopefully before that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we are gonna start working on SGW 2 some point. For now, we are looking what it will contain, what it will be, and
how it will be funded.
Yeah, how it will be funded as well, and we encourage all of you people who have been enjoying SGW 1 to reach out to us, and we are always open for ideas regarding the second one. We have been really glad to see how well you guys have liked the SGW 1, and we really want the second one to provide you even more of the content that you like.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy how long of a tail SGW 1 has had, because usually you launch a game, you see a spike, and then it sort of goes like the sales go like brrr. But with SGW, it's like all the time makes these little bumps, which really makes us think that because we had like no. Well, first of all, it was our first game, and we didn't have a publisher. I mean, of course, I guess the common consensus is publishers are evil, blah blah blah. But one thing publishers do provide is that they give you like base to build your visibility on, like get that people in front of eyeballs, to get the game in front of eyeballs, which we couldn't really do. So we can really see now, like all the time, and whenever it's on a sale, like people keep buying it, stuff like that. And one thing that's worth mentioning also is that we keep saying free update and DLC. So yeah, it's gonna be a DLC that costs money. We threw some ideas around that and figured out, like personally, like I mean we've been through this. Like if I could give people games forever for free, I would probably do that, but I can't because it's my job. So basically, it's where we were thinking of doing like $2.99 DLC with bunch of like story content, challenging story content, stuff like that. There's gonna be a bunch of new achievements. Like I think that's gonna be the big focus of this whole thing, is to do achievements, like similar to for example like stuff like Unbearable originally. Like we were thinking, because Black Bear got like kind of his or her own thing in Unbearable. We might try to figure out something similar for all the other mechs, stuff like that. And one big thing is you're not gonna lose your achievement progress if you're on console, because from what I understand, the way it works on consoles is that you get like a separate. This might be completely obvious to people who play on consoles. I don't know. To me, it wasn't. But like it's a separate thing. But those on Steam will have to, because Steam does it the way that it just sort of goes to the list. Yeah. So if you were 100%, you won't be anymore. Which I guess a little bit might suck, but I think maybe if you 100% did SGW, I think you'll be happy to have more stuff to do, basically. Because we are like really looking to, we don't want to add too many like crazy new things for several reasons, one of which being that the base of the game is so old, but we want to add content. And as said, like as Gauntlet is like, I mean, let's face it, it's a bit bland because it's the same goddamn asteroids when you start it, and it sort of goes through the campaign, stuff like that. We want to diversify it a lot. We want to make it like actually cool. So, and tie achievements there, other than the reach level 25 stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Do we have any questions on chat or something?
Let's see. Someone says that Joni's hair is so flat, the world is changing.
It's a long day. It's a long day.
That's the takeoff from this announcement, is that Joni's hair. We're gonna unflat Joni's hair.
Carnage asks online co-op possibility for SGW DLC or SGW 2.
I don't want to like guarantee anything, but if you've been watching our vlog content previously, one of the big things I always say is that the reason why we couldn't do it in 1 was because 1 was not built for it. We would love to do it for the second one, but it involves certain logistical issues, stuff like that. But like, if we can, like we are not saying like it's not gonna happen. If we can make it happen, we will make it happen. But it still has some questions. Like we still have some questions about how well it will work, but we will at least try it.
and we would love to have it working. And ultimately, one of my big arguments against it previously was that it would be like the inferior way to play the game, so to speak, because there will be some latency stuff like that. But I've been thinking about that a bunch, because I said the exact same thing when we had that one review that went viral 10 billion times about a guy who wanted to play with the only mouse, and I sort of had a similar argument there, like where it's gonna be, you know, worse way to play the game, blah blah blah, and then we're not doing it anyway, and like it was a good thing in all ways. This is kind of the same thing. Like I'm thinking it doesn't really matter ultimately if there's some latency, as long as we also have local co-op. So that's one thing. Like we definitely want to have local co-op, and then we would like to provide online co-op too, even if it comes down to like, oh, it's gonna be a little bit wonky or whatever. Like I think at this point it's quite clear that little bit wonky network multiplayer is better than no network multiplayer if we can provide it, and it's possible it won't be wonky at all. But as said, I can't really, like I can't even promise necessarily local co-op, because as said, we are looking at options. Like maybe we get a publisher, maybe we got something else. So there might be, like, we really want to, I mean, it's gonna be an SGW game, so we want to have everything that made the first one cool, but it might be that it's like a deal breaker for some entity who would otherwise give us money. It's like, no, you cannot have local multiplayer. I mean, how I'm not sure how that would ever happen, but it's theoretically possible.
Yeah. But yeah, like said, we want to listen to the fans of the first game and kind of take ideas from there and hear what they want to do. And then, of course, there are realities that some things might happen, some might not. But we are very aware that online multiplayer is something that people want from us.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but for the DLC, it's out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For the reasons that have been mentioned before, because like at this point, I mean, this week I opened the project for the first time for like a little bit under a year, I guess, or roughly a year, but well, actually it might be a bit more than a year. But yeah, the problem with it is that it's still the same base that was started like almost 3 years ago. So it would be like, basically, if we want to have network multiplayer, we'll just put that to the second one and focus on making that awesome. And yeah, like it's just not really feasible. I mean, theoretically, if there's like some Saudi Arabian prince watching, he just wants to give us like 2 million to make SGW1 to have network multiplayer, yeah, we'll do it. But like, if that doesn't happen, then we would rather do it in a new game and focus on the. But it would be interesting to know how the numbers would change, like of people who played co-op if we did have network multiplayer. Which, so far, what it looks like is that the co-op is like people like the idea of it, but ultimately it's like. Well, I know for a fact on Steam it's something stupid low, like 20% of people have ever played with more than one person. I assume it's gonna be higher on consoles, but still, like, it's, and that this is not like, oh, you know, we don't want to do co-op because nobody plays it. We don't want to do co-op still, we still believe in it, but that's interesting thing, like, maybe if we had network multiplayer, the number would be higher. I don't know.
Right.
Anything else?
Not really.
All right. Yeah. So, just so you know, SGW1 is not dead, and the IP itself is not dead.
Yeah.
There will be more, and we'll be more active regarding to SGW's future in the social media in
we sort
months.
of just kind of, well, basically now figured out that there is really no reason to, like, because we somehow, I guess it's, I don't know, like we somehow just assume that you have to keep it a secret and then somehow it's a magical reveal, and but like, why really? Like it's not like nuclear launch codes, it's like just GW. And the thing is really, like, there's a lot of cool ideas coming in from people, and even if it's not like, I don't want to set myself up in a way where like people will send me super specific requests on Twitter and then get offended if I don't implement them. Like, I'm not necessarily talking about that stuff like that, but stuff that people demonstrate through actions, such as how much people love the challenge aspect of the game. It's been ridiculously cool. Like Joni has shown me that on the console side, because I'm not super familiar with consoles, people have like entire guides dedicated to like how to get specific achievements and doing stuff like doing runs where you like go to the store and you reset until you get a specific upgrade. And even figuring out like, because when I was designing the custom upgrade system, I want to be 100% sure that there's no loose ends, so to speak. Like this works in all circumstances as I want it to work. But with that one, I was like, I'm quite sure people are going to figure out things that I missed. And for example, it was super cool to see that somebody figured out that you can do unbearable if you buy that one upgrade that makes it so that you take, like if you would get hit, you take damage through your super bar. And that of course doesn't invalidate you for the achievement, but it gives you more durability. Like stuff like this. Like that people figure out through their actions. And that's the type of stuff that we definitely want to take into account, and we definitely want to offer people the possibility of figuring out similar stuff, because I think that's super cool, like figuring out, oh hey, what if I do this and what if I do that and what if I combine these two things, and sort of making your own goal, like okay, this run I'm aiming to get this achievement and I will try to sort of outsmart the game. I will try to figure out, hey, if I do this and this and this, it becomes feasible, and it's just super cool. And we definitely want to see more of that. And like one thing that would be really cool to do with SGW, for example, conceptual SGW 2, would be to make it a little bit more like active in that regard. Because SGW 1 was kind of like, it came out, then we did a Christmas patch, we did Stellar Climax, and then we did some patching. But because of how it was set up, we couldn't be very active. I couldn't do a lot of content all the time. But maybe with the second one, it would be cool to do stuff like have the possibility of doing little adjustments like every now and then, and like, oh, now we have a monthly thing of this and stuff like that. Like have it be more active experience. Even though maybe it's overly ambitious to aim for this sort of like service model for it. I mean, it's most likely, or I would like to make it so that it's a single purchase game, but of course that's another thing. Like somebody might come in and say, hi, like, hey, I'm an Arab oil sheikh and I will give you millions if you make it free to play, and then who am I to say no? But if that doesn't happen, then I would like to make that single purchase, but I would still like to make it a game where it's like has a little bit longer runtime, so to speak. You get more bang for your buck.
Yeah, I guess our announcement part is
it's been done
done
for a while.
Yeah.
I'm just rambling.
After this there will after this you get to see some of the versions of SGW that are far before the launch. And
then I guess we're gonna just dynamically switch to random games. To that.
If there's still viewers. Yeah.
So, but I guess the official segment of the stream is sort of coming to an end slowly.
Well, not really. I mean, we're officially still gonna play the builds.
After that.
Yeah.
After that,
That's probably just gonna switch to at some point.
Yeah, it's coming slowly, like your mom last night.
But we're gonna have a small break, and then we're gonna come back with the SGW versions.
Yeah. So hold tight.